There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Seppo. I'm sure we've all seen the failure of a video by Extra Credits. If you haven't seen it yet, then why are you paying me any attention? Go watch and laugh at them. But anyways, I'm not here to say the same stuff that every other channel has already said because, let's be honest, every single sentence uttered in that dogshit video was so stupid that you didn't need to intently give them any thought to refute them. Your brain just automatically correlates everything and realizes why it's all so fucking dumb. But one aspect of the video which I don't see being unpacked too often is, ironically, the whole gig of the video. Playing as objectionable groups having to mean something. What Extra Credits fails to realize is how much this would radically change video games, and this goes far beyond Nazis and terrorists. The Extra Credits crew are Americans. This doesn't really matter, but it might influence their naivete because a lot of Americans are surprised when they learn that most people in the world think America is evil. Not necessarily that Americans are evil, but America? Yeah. Not very popular. If, as Extra Credits suggests, abhorrent ideas have to mean something when presented in a video game, then the majority of FPS games would be crippled and sent straight back to the drawing board because America is usually portrayed as the unambiguous good guy in most media. Extra Credits believes that despite Nazism being universally depicted as the most evil ideology, if a video game in particular doesn't paranoically make sure that you aren't a neo-Nazi, that could lead to players unironically becoming actual neo-Nazis and spraying swastika graffiti over their neighborhood. No. For one thing, letting your customers just enjoy a product without politics is the least likely thing to cause neo-Nazism. For another, perhaps a real issue might be actual encouragement of objectionable ideas, aka propaganda. Like I suggested, America is usually depicted in media as the defender of justice and bringer of freedom. You can see this in blatant propaganda films like Rocky IV and Black Hawk Down. Are video games any different to cinema in this respect? Well, yeah, actually sorta. At least in English-speaking countries, Hollywood has dominance over cinema, but when it comes to video games, you got big hits coming from Britain, Germany, Sweden, Japan, everywhere. That's how GTA can be extremely popular in the United States, despite it being one of the more accurate depictions of America. Something that passes by American journalists' heads when they call it a parody of America instead of a satire. But then you still get some games in the COD series that are essentially just Anyways, why is this, in the words of Extra Credits,
bad on so many levels?
Well, America has done many of the things that Nazi Germany is demonized for. Genocide? Check. Massacring prisoners and civilians? Check. Expansionism? Definitely check that time they backstabbed Mexico and annexed over 54% of her land. Lynching blacks? Check. Oh wait, Nazis didn't even do that. Huh. Then there's also the nuke problem. Americans usually justify nuking Japan by saying that it was the only way to force them to surrender, but pretty much every non-American historian agrees the nukes had no bearing on Japan's decision to surrender. Not all of the examples I listed were from World War II, but America has never been a benevolent, peaceable country, despite how often its government would say otherwise. Yet, I don't hear people logging onto an FPS game, being put on the American team, and then being all like, wow, I didn't ask for this, I didn't choose this, yet there it is. Then go online to complain that the game didn't incessantly announce an opinion that has nothing to do with Team Deathmatch. And how many people really did join the US military because of COD? Like, legit, who played Call of Duty in middle school and based on that decided years later, alright, what I want to do with my life is quickscope brown people on the other side of the world. You might think that Nazi Germany and the US haven't any moral equivalence, but that's just your opinion. People who lived in the Soviet Union thought that the two were as bad as each other. You can say they're brainwashed by propaganda, but you'd be naive to say that you haven't been too. Likewise, many people in the West think that Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union were as bad as each other. I mean, listen to yourself.
No one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they find abhorrent.
So, according to Extra Credits, most of the world should never be randomly put on an American team, since American exceptionalism is unsurprisingly only popular amongst Americans. Dude, imagine how much video games would suck if people who picked the American team had to sit through artificially longer queue times. You suggested that for people who pick the Axis. Why shouldn't they give that to people who pick America? Going out of your way to harass the player with, "Hey, guess what? You're Hitler," is not only pathetic, but counterproductive to what you want to do. You talk about how normalizing Nazis makes swastika graffiti the edgy and dangerous thing to do, but the draconian condescension you are suggesting is exactly what would make swastika graffiti rebellious. They would literally be rebelling against your pestering. If you don't want people to rebel like that, I have a better solution. Show war in its fullest, most brutal extent. War is a shitty fucking thing. People die, communities are ravaged, and good people become monsters. You want playing as Nazis to mean something? That's how you achieve it, by showing that war is hell. If you don't want that, then why are you even interested in war games in the first place? Go and play fucking Wii Tennis and shut up. This was Dandy telling you why Extra Credits isn't dandy. Peace.